After Chrystia Freeland's shocking resignation, some Liberal MPs have reignited their calls for Justin Trudeau to step aside.
The Prime Minister is living in a false reality. He's delusional if he thinks we can continue like this.
I've heard from countless constituents who want to see change of prime ministers, but don't want to see Pierre Poilievre become that prime minister, to become that change.
There's no shortage of talent and people that could absolutely do the job without the baggage of the prime minister.
The future of the Liberal Party in the next election is not going to be bright if he leads us there, because he is going to be the ballot issue.
The Prime Minister just doesn't have the confidence of the Canadian people. Then the conclusion is really easy to come to, that the Prime Minister should resign and somebody new should take the party and the country forward.
Well, that's the view inside the caucus. Outside, the opposition leaders say Canadians deserve a leader with a renewed mandate to lead negotiations with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump.
Now the president will see this weak, pathetic leader flailing around in a chaotic clown show, and that will only cost Canadians in these negotiations. That is why it is an emergency that we get an Axe the Tax election.
Trump keeping up his attacks on Canada with a late-night posting, falsely claiming that the United States subsidizes Canada to the tune of more than $100 million a year. He has previously claimed that figure is $100 billion, an amount more than double the actual trade deficit between the two countries. He also falsely claims that the majority of Canadians want to become the 51st state, a statement contradicted by recent polling in Canada. Trump has threatened to slap tariffs on all Canadian goods if Canada doesn't address his concerns about the two countries' shared border.
Some 50 Liberal MPs, members of the caucus, are calling on the Prime Minister.
Hello everyone, welcome to Immigrate with Vanshika. In today's video, we're diving into the growing political crisis in Canada. The recent threat by Donald Trump to impose tariffs on Canadian goods has not only rocked the Canadian economy, but also pushed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to the brink of resignation. Let's take a closer look at how this all unfolded. It all began when U.S. President-elect Donald Trump threatened to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian imports unless Canada and Mexico took stronger actions to stop the flow of drugs and migrants through their borders. This was a shocking development, as it came just as Trump was preparing for his second term in office. In response, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been trying to reassure Canadians that his government has everything under control. However, this tariff threat dominated headlines and raised serious questions about how Canada should handle its relationship with the U.S. going forward. The situation escalated further when Chrystia Freeland, Canada's finance minister and a longtime political ally of Trudeau, announced her resignation. In her resignation letter, Freeland criticized Trudeau's handling of the crisis, saying that they were at odds about the best path forward. Freeland emphasized that Canada needs to prepare for a potential tariff war, which could have serious economic consequences for the country. She argued that Trudeau's focus on political gimmicks rather than fiscal responsibility was a mistake. Her resignation sent shockwaves across Canada and reignited calls for Trudeau's resignation. Before Freeland's resignation, Trudeau was already under pressure from within his own party. Several members of his Liberal Party had begun calling for him to step down, especially with the looming 2025 federal elections. Trudeau has been struggling with a significant drop in public support, with many Canadians dissatisfied with his government's handling of key issues such as the COVID-19 pandemic, housing affordability, and rising costs of living. Trudeau's leadership was also weakened by his strained relationship with the left-wing New Democratic Party, NDP. In September, the NDP withdrew its support from Trudeau's minority government, making the Liberals more vulnerable if a no-confidence vote were triggered. With the growing crisis, Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has been especially vocal in calling for Trudeau's resignation. Poilievre has criticized Trudeau for being weak in the face of Trump's tariff threat, stating that Trudeau's inability to act decisively is damaging Canada's standing on the world stage. In fact, Poilievre argued that Trump would love to see Trudeau remain in power because he believes he can easily walk all over him. This criticism has resonated with many Canadians, particularly as the Conservative Party has surged ahead in recent polls. Polls show a significant shift in public opinion, with many Canadians now backing the Conservatives over Trudeau's Liberals. According to a Ledger survey from November, 42% of Canadians plan to vote for the Conservatives, compared to only 26% for the Liberals. In addition, nearly 70% of Canadians expressed dissatisfaction with Trudeau's government, highlighting a strong appetite for change. Experts have pointed out that Canadians are suffering from incumbent fatigue, and with Trudeau's tenure nearing 10 years, many are ready for a change in leadership. Trudeau's handling of the tariff threat, combined with other internal divisions and ongoing public dissatisfaction, has put his leadership in jeopardy. Another significant factor in this crisis is the growing influence of Donald Trump. The recent tariff threat has not only intensified tensions between the US and Canada, but has also fueled right-wing sentiments within Canada itself. According to some polls, Canadians now view Trump more favorably than Trudeau, with 26% of Canadians holding a favorable view of Trump compared to 23% for Trudeau. Trump's populist approach, particularly his tough stance on immigration and trade, has resonated with a segment of the Canadian population, leading to the rise of right-wing political narratives. These dynamics are shaping the political discourse in Canada and further undermining Trudeau's position. As Trump prepares to return to the White House, questions about how Canada will navigate its relationship with the U.S. under his leadership are becoming increasingly urgent. Trump's tariff threat is just one part of a larger strategy aimed at putting pressure on both Canada and Mexico. While Trudeau has attempted to respond with diplomacy, including a visit to Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, there is growing concern in Canada that the country's approach will not be enough to protect its interests. The situation is further complicated by the rise of populist leaders like Pierre Poilievre, who could take a more confrontational approach to dealing with the U.S. As we approach the 2025 election, it remains unclear whether Trudeau can survive the political storm surrounding him. His leadership is under intense scrutiny, and the combination of freelance resignation, the looming tariff threat, and mounting pressure from the opposition could mark the end of the Trudeau era. It's possible that by the end of 2025, we'll look back at Trump's tariff threat as the turning point that ended Trudeau's time in office. For now, the political crisis in Canada continues to unfold, and all eyes will be on how Trudeau responds to the growing calls for his resignation. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Also, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below about the ongoing political situation in Canada. See you in the next video.